On a cool fall morning, Emily Harper was kneeling on her front yard, tying her shoe. Not knowing that two police officers were walking up to her with their hands near their guns. "Lady, step back and keep your hands where we can see them," one said. His voice tight and worried. Emily was wearing old sweatpants and a hoodie. Her gun in its holder tight against her side looked up confused and puzzled. The officer stared at her like she was about to rob a bank. One grabbed his radio saying, "Person with gun is a woman, maybe dangerous, someone called it in." Then he saw the badge clipped to Emily's belt shining in the morning light. Everything changed. The second officer's face turned white. "Chief Harper? Your chief, Emily Harper?" he said, stepping back like he'd just seen a ghost across the street. Margaret Voss, the HOA boss, stood holding her barking little dog in her phone, talking into it with a mean smile. Not knowing the mess she just started, she didn't know. The scary gun person she'd complained about was the new police chief, and her fake 911 call was a crime that would destroy her carefully built kingdom. This wasn't a random fight. For months, Margaret had been fighting a quiet battle to control the peaceful neighborhood street like her personal kingdom. Elected HOA boss for the third time through a strangely small number of voters and a perfectly timed potluck dinner, she ruled like a mean queen, giving out fines like an old-time taxman. $25 for grass too long, $50 for kids drawing with chalk, $100 for Christmas lights. Left too long, her newest crazy idea was a made-up rule against showing guns, saying they scared the neighbors, even though the state's laws said people could carry guns, and Emily being there made people feel safer after last year's break-ins too. Emily's gun holder wasn't protection. It was being rebellious 2 days before. Margaret had walked into Emily's yard without asking as Emily cleaned her garden scissors. "You'll be charged $500 every day for that gun where people can see it." She snapped. Emily stayed calm and explained she was off work doing what was legal and that the HOA had no real power over people's guns. Margaret made a mean face. "I expected better from someone like you. You're supposed to show good behavior, not look like you want to start a fight." Emily's calm smile stayed the same. "I am showing good behavior." Margaret, the kind that follows real laws, not your made-up rules. Margaret walked away angrily, promising, "I'll take care of this," and she did, or so she thought, by calling 911. When Emily came outside that unlucky morning, the officers, embarrassed after figuring out who Emily was, said, "Sorry right away, Chief." The dispatcher just said "woman with gun," and the HOA boss said it was really urgent. One mumbled. Emily nodded. "You did what you should. Now I'll do what I should." Margaret, still smiling meanly across the street, watched her big plan fall apart. Emily walked up to her, voice calm but tough. "Margaret, you called in a fake police report saying someone was dangerous. That's against the law." Margaret blinked, her voice squeaky. "I didn't know it was you. You weren't wearing your uniform. You could have been anyone." Emily's stare didn't move. "That's why you don't call in fake scary reports. Without proof, you put neighbors, officers, and yourself in danger. You'll pay for this." That evening, 6 neighbors came to Emily's door with brownies, a pie, and soda, saying, "We saw everything. She's crazy. How can we help?" Their support was a quiet fight against Margaret's mean rule, and Emily, who didn't like attention, even after her big promotion, felt the neighborhood's trust get stronger. She wasn't just a cop, she was their protector. But Margaret wasn't finished. The next day, she sent around a newsletter saying Emily waved a gun around and made her feel scared. She called Emily's being there causing trouble, hinting at misusing power. Emily didn't take the trick publicly. Instead, she sent the 911 recording her, body camera video, and a complaint about being harassed to the city lawyer. The city council, shocked by the proof, held a secret meeting where Emily showed everything about Margaret's mean campaign. Anonymous letters telling neighbors to avoid troublemakers, all traced to HOA mail. And a rulebook she made up herself. One council person gasped, "I thought the HOA was about yard work, not being a mean dictator." Margaret, not knowing the trouble getting worse, pushed for a gun ban at an emergency HOA meeting using her 911 call as proof, but the room turned against her. A quiet old man, Tom, stood up. "You lied about our police chief, put us all in danger, and you're lucky we're not kicking you out tonight." Margaret's helper whispered something and her face froze. She was losing control, not giving up. Margaret went further, calling a local news person to say bad things about Emily, not knowing the reporters. Son was saved by Emily's brave actions in a fire. Years ago, the call went badly. Meanwhile, Emily stayed calm, her being peaceful a weapon stronger than Margaret's crazy behavior at a public safety meeting. Emily showed the 911 call newsletter pictures. And her rights as a regular person and officer. The room got quiet as Margaret's scared voice played, calling Emily a dangerous person. The mayor, shocked, ordered a citywide HOA check. The city lawyer looked into Margaret's rulemaking in the HOAs. Helper David Chin told Emily that Margaret had pushed aside the other board members for years, giving out fines without votes. He gave a statement showing her as a one-person mean ruler. Margaret's next plan was a shiny newsletter called Restoring Safety, painting herself as someone Emily heard, a woman connected to law enforcement. It went in every mailbox, even taped 2 doors, but an angry neighbor sent it to the mayor, writing, "Is this what our money pays for?" The anger grew at an HOA meeting. People like Mrs. Larson, a 35-year neighbor of the block, praised Emily's work helping her grandson, stopping a drunk driver. Another held up the newsletter, yelling, "You lied to the police and said mean things about her. That's not safety, that's dangerous." Margaret said they were rebelling, but when the board talked about a no-trust vote, she laughed. Nervously, the vote was harsh. 28 to kick her out, 2 to keep her, 1 staying neutral. She walked out mad. The city's legal team found $75,000 in missing HOA money connected to a fake security company. Margaret had hired her lawsuit, saying Emily was mean to her, fell apart when chat messages came up showing her making fun of Emily and planning to get rid of her. The judge, doubtful, warned Margaret about fake claims. Her lawyer, a sweaty billboard regular, begged for a break. The lawsuit was thrown out. Margaret lost it publicly, yelling at a barbecue with a loudspeaker about police being bad and spy drones watching her. A sheriff walked her out as kids cried and parents stared. She became a neighborhood joke, her breakdowns put online as Margaret's funniest moments. Emily, careful, wrote down everything unclear. Threats from mystery emails, one signed by Margaret's ex, a former HOA money person. A stay-away order followed. Emily used the mess to teach officers about fake reporting and HOA bullying, speaking at town meetings about being responsible. Her story spread a lesson in stopping corruption with waiting and proof. Margaret's house went up for sale, then bank owned her loans failed after using HOA money wrongly. A search of her storage room showed a scary collection. Stuff, spy drones, and a list of people to control, including kids labeled future threats for skateboarding. The charges added up: stealing money, illegal spying, wrong use of money, causing a federal HOA investigation. In a final try, Margaret did a podcast interview saying she was exposing Emily's secret bad government plan. The full video, leaked by a former student of Emily's, showed her admitting to making up complaints. She faced jail time, taking a deal to tell about other HOAs. She'd ruined her community, career was banned, her stuff sold, including a broken drone with a note for Chief Harper with "Sorry." Emily gave it to a tech donation, not caring the neighborhood got better. Sidewalks bloomed with chalk. Art parks had egg hunts, and the HOA's old office became a book-sharing library. Emily said no to cutting its ribbon, going as a neighbor. A teen once charged money for skating, gave her a card, thanks for showing one person can make a difference. A state law nicknamed for Emily required HOA openness. At a block party marking the incident's birthday, neighbors danced to an old rock song. Kids ran barefoot, and Emily stood quietly, the storm she'd gone through now afar away. Memory, she didn't want glory, but her strength had rebuilt the community. She said, watching the stars that night, the best part wasn't her losing, it was us winning each other.